What's the chat saying? Gray says nah. Are we putting a poll out?
Who wants player ratings? Everyone's saying skip please. Skip, please.
No. Oh, do you actually not want it?
Because we do have a lot of other stuff to talk about, but I mean,
skip that. X in the chat. He's not having any of it. He's not having any of it.
Nah, we got to do it, surely. We got to do it. We got to hold these players accountable, man.
Sure, all right.
Let's get into it. All right, Vicario first. Obviously, we lost 4-0 to Bayern Munich. Vicario, Sim gives him a 6. I gave him a 7. I think the goals that we conceded, I don't think he could have got to any of them, to be honest. They were wonder strikes for the most part. And I think he actually made some really decent saves to keep the score. I was about to say respectable, but it wasn't respectable whatsoever.
Yeah, I mean, he made a couple of good saves. Not really much to talk about. The goals couldn't really stop. And that's it. Like, a couple of good saves. I actually think they didn't have that many shots on target. Most of them actually went in.
But he made some decent saves throughout the day.
I
thought he was probably our best player.
He made, look, I don't think he made any saves. There was one from Kane, low down. That was the only one that maybe you don't expect him to make.
True. Definitely our best player on the day. That just shows how bad everyone was. Next up, Pedro Porro. Sim gives him a 6. I gave him a 5. I thought he struggled at times, but he also made some really nice last-ditch challenges, some sliding tackles. But yeah, one really nice cross on the day. Yeah, apart from that, I thought he struggled a little bit.
I actually think probably one of our better players.
Yeah.
I thought...
not saying much.
No, but I thought the way he was like dealing with Diaz was not terrible. I think Diaz was causing us trouble, but he dealt with him better than we were dealing with the other players on the other side. I think he did all right, and yeah, should have had an assist at the end of the day.
Couture Romero up next. Sim gives him a 3. I gave him a 4. There was some nice bits of defending, particularly in the first half in there from Romero, but I think he just had something in for Kane. he was literally bombarding Kane with the sliding challenges, could have been sent off 2 or 3 times. We all praised him last week against Newcastle for not reacting to a situation. I mean, he just was constantly going in on Kane, and yeah, literally could have been sent off 2 or 3 times.
Yeah, it was like a man on a warpath. He wanted to be sent off, it seems. He was like daring the referee to send him off. He wasn't great, I thought, in this one, unfortunately. Was making foul after foul, was getting caught out. Wasn't his best.
Mickey Van de Ven, Sim gives him a 6. I gave him a 5. I thought, again, like in the first half, he was decent. And then as the game was wearing on, I felt like as Bayern Munich were just pummeling us, I felt like he just couldn't keep up with the game at times. And he was probably our best defender on the day, but it doesn't say much. And he was doing well in terms of heading the ball out consistently. But yeah, it wasn't a great performance.
Yeah, he's getting some good clearances. I thought a lot of the time when set pieces were coming in, he was the one stepping up and clearing them. I thought some of the goals, though, yeah, you know, shots from the edge of the box and things, and he wasn't getting out anywhere near quick enough. So I thought there were some good moments on the ball, though, driving forward and, you know, shoving players aside. That was good. But, yeah, defensively, not great.
Jed Spence falls all round. Yeah, I mean, he had such a hard time on that side with the quality of players that they had. And he was getting overawed a lot of it. He was losing the ball consistently in that second half. And one of them did lead to the goal when Konrad Laimer nicked the ball off him, and they went and scored a worldie after that, and he's got to be doing better. And I've praised him for having a really good pre-season, and I thought at half-time he was still having that, but by the end of the game, it was just a shocking performance.
Yeah, I thought first half he was okay, and I actually thought in build-up, when he was making quicker decisions, he was actually quite good, but second half, I don't know what happened to him, but he just went to shit, basically, and he was just dawdling on it. I literally, just before the goal, I said, we're literally asking to give the ball away, and then he gave the ball away, and we conceded. Didn't really stop after that as well. Really poor from him. Look, he's going to have other different tests, but defensively even, struggled when he usually doesn't.
Yeah. João Palhinha, debut, 45 minutes he got. Sim gives him a 3, I gave him a 4. He just was not at the races. He gave away a penalty, but, you know, to be fair to him, it wasn't a penalty, and if it should have been, I mean, it would have been potentially overturned if if they had VAR on the day, but I just thought he was just getting completely overrun in midfield, couldn't keep up with the pace of the game, hasn't had many minutes in his legs in pre-season or anything like that. So maybe, maybe don't be too harsh on him, because he needs a bit more practice and a bit more fitness in him. But yeah, in this game, he was shocking.
Yeah, I think clearly he needs to up the pace in his in pre-season, because he struggled badly. And I give him a bit of grace with the penalty, because he didn't make much contact, but at the end of the day, he was also very late in that challenge, and it was a bit luck that he didn't make contact. It was a dive from the player, but he also was quite late. He was nowhere near the ball as well, as much as he was near the player. Off on the ball, lacked quality, to be honest. There's a couple of times he went for a switch of play and goes up for a throw both times, and that was really, really poor from him. Wasn't brave on the ball. Whenever he tried to play quicker one-touch football, he wasn't able to do it. Lacked quality, and was a disappointing debut.
Rodrigo Bentancur, 5s all round for Bentancur, and he was part of the midfield that was getting overrun consistently for 90 minutes. I did feel like him and Palhinha were dropping very deep and leaving so much space on the edge of the area, and they got to come out and they've got to at least make a challenge, and they weren't doing that. But I felt with Bentancur, he was the only one in the midfield willing to try and progress the ball forward at least, and I give him a bit of credit for that, but still wasn't great display.
Yeah, I thought he was probably the best of the three. I thought he was one bravest and one looking to break the lines with some good passing, and he did a decent job at times, but unfortunately wasn't helped by his teammates. And as well, he sometimes gets the ball, played the ball into feet, and he just plays his blind passes round the corner, like not looking, and just gives the ball away cheaply, and that's very frustrating.
I feel like this is like the quickest player ratings we've ever done.
Yeah, come on. People want this over and done with. Come on.
Pape Matar next. 4s all round for Pape. I think his worst performance in pre-season so far. He was in the 10, then dropped a bit deeper later on in the game. And when he was in the 10, he was pretty much anonymous. Every time he got it, he either got fouled or just lost the ball. Impacted nothing in terms of from a creative standpoint. When he dropped deeper again, not great, and just got completely overrun.
Yeah, I think the best work he did was probably with some of his pressing, because there was some points in the first half where we actually pressed quite high and won the ball in decent areas, and I think Sarr was good at that. But yeah, I don't think he impacted the game anywhere near enough when we were in settled possession, and he struggled to really impact the game when he had opportunities on the ball. He just struggled with the quality, I think, and when we had Bentancur and Palhinha on the ball, he wasn't really showing for it enough.
Brennan Johnson up next. Sim gives him a 3. I gave him a 4. I remember him once running at his man in the first half. Maybe another one in the second half, but literally all I saw was 2 failed attempts to run at your man. And apart from that, he was completely anonymous throughout the whole time he was on the pitch. And that's pretty much been his story of pre-season. Apart from a deflected goal in the opening stages of that Newcastle game, I think every game has been a carbon copy.
Yeah, he's been very frustrating, and off the left as well, it's just not where he's comfortable. You can see he likes to run in a straight line, and if you're right-footed and you're playing off the left, running in a straight line isn't going to work. You need to have that bit of dexterity, a bit of flexibility to weave in and out of players cutting inside, and taking up those central positions. He just never looks comfortable when he's off the left. When he's off the right, at least when he runs in a straight line, he gets to the byline, he's on his strong foot, so he can get a cross in, get a shot off, that kind of stuff. But off the left, I just never got it with Brendan. I've never understood why we play him there. He was just I think he had 7 touches, did he? Or something like that?
In the first half.
In the first half, so little involved. Disappointing, really, really poor.
Mohamed Kudus, 5s all round for Kudus. I mean, it looked like if anything was going to come for us from an attacking perspective, it looked like it was going to come from him. But every time he got the ball, he had 3 men around him. He was trying to make stuff happen. It looked like he was just trying to do everything on his own, pretty much, with no help, no support whatsoever, completely isolated. And he was trying his hardest, but nothing really much came off for him.
Yeah, I think he was the only one who was trying to force the issue, trying to make things happen. He was trying very hard. He was working really hard for the team. When we were stuck, not being able to play through the Bayern press, we just lobbed it over to Kudus and see if he could make it stick. And a few times he did, and fair play. But even when he did make it stick, the end result was usually just a pass back to Porro. It wasn't exactly like he created anything. And it's not his fault. He didn't have much support. Didn't have many players near him. Second half, he had a few more opportunities to get a ball in or take a shot. and unfortunately the quality wasn't there. A lot of the time his crossing was overhit, and his shots were blocked and stuff like that. So I want to see a bit more quality when he gets into those positions, but also I want to see him get a lot more help.
And the last of the starting 11, Richarlison. Sim gives him a 4. I gave him a 5. He was working very hard. Let's be real. He was working very hard. We were just trying to just do long balls up to him consistently, time after time after time. And basically, he couldn't get any spare change out of the Bayern Munich backline. And all he was doing was taking these snapshots. And I was saying at least someone's having a go, at least someone's taking a shot. So I'll give him credit for that. But he was completely isolated up there against a very good Bayern Munich defence.
Yeah, and he was feeding off scraps, and he got some decent shots. You know, I actually thought a couple of the efforts were good technique. Unfortunately, weren't enough to really trouble Neuer. I think he held on to both of them, and then he had that one chance second half. He has to bury that. I think it was 4-0 already at that point, but that's a gilt-edged chance with his head. That should be meat and drink for a striker like Richarlison. So the fact he put that wide was very disappointing. But you know, at least he's getting the positions. He's feeding off scraps. He's making the most of what he has. And there was also a moment as well. He nutmegged. Who was it? He nutmegged Upamecano down the left wing. Nearly created a chance for Kudus. So look, he's trying. He's trying his best. It was a very difficult day for him up front, pretty much by himself for most of it.
I felt like out of the front three, like he probably had the most success of potentially hurting Bayern Munich, you know what I mean? Let's move on to the subs. Bergvall came on at half-time for Palhinha, moved into the number 10. 5s all round for Bergvall. Unfortunately, couldn't create jack, to be honest. He put himself about a little bit in the midfield. It gave us a bit more energy in there, but yeah, still couldn't create much.
Yeah, a couple of good ball-carrying moments, but other than that, struggled to really impact the game. He says he wants to be the solution in the number 10, but unfortunately didn't really show he was up to it in this game.
Ben Davies up next. Sim gives him a 5. I gave him a 4. I thought he struggled badly at left back. I thought, you know, the players that he was coming up against, clear quality gap. And even when the kids came on, I thought, you know, Davies struggled to handle the intensity.
Yeah, wasn't that impressed with him at left back, to be honest. Came on, was supposed to shore things up, got forward as well. But, you know, I hate the sight of passing the ball out wide to Davies and he's like trying to take someone on. I'm like, are we still doing this? Like, we just know he's not going to be able to get anywhere beyond a player, and he hasn't been able to for, you know, 10 years. So that was quite frustrating. Defensively, I mean, I didn't have that much of an issue, but I don't think he did anything great either.
Wilson, Odebear, 5s all round for Odebear. I don't really know why he didn't start. I really hope he does start on Wednesday. I thought as soon as he came on, you saw a bit of attacking intent. He got the ball. He tried to have a go. He did more in literally 5 minutes than Brennan Johnson has done all of pre-season. Let's be real. And look, it still wasn't good enough, and you still expect more from a left winger that's trying to replace Son Heung-min. But I thought at least he's trying to have a go. Yeah,
he looked bright. Had a shot that was blocked by Ben Davies. At least that was the difference between him and Brennan as well. Gets the ball, looks to drive inside, create space. And that's a very big difference to someone like Brennan, who just doesn't look to do that. So I thought he looked bright, but, you know, not much to shout about.
Matisse Tell on his old stomping ground. Sim gives him a 4. I gave him a 5. I feel like whenever we see Matisse Tell, it's like a carbon copy performance where he looks so busy, so energetic, always running, never stops, but just very little quality in anything that he does. So I think it was more of the same of that.
Yeah, I agree. I thought getting on the ball a bit, taking people on. I like some of his hold-up. You know, he gets away from players, doesn't always lose it, or is able to hold players off. So that was quite encouraging, but it didn't really have too much at the end of it. No shots, no real, you know, through balls or anything like that. You know, he came on up front and unfortunately didn't look anywhere close to scoring. So,
last but not least, Thomas Frank. Are we rating Frank? Yeah, 5s all round for Thomas Frank. Look, what can you even say? I mean, there was a massive gulf in quality between the two sides. We tried to sit deep, we tried to soak up pressure, and I don't know what we were trying to do the other way. It just seemed like we were just going, either passing it to Kudus, asking him to do everything himself, or just trying the long ball up to Richarlison. That was pretty much the only plan going forward. And from a defensive standpoint, I think he got let down with, first of all, a lot of players just not up to scratch. I think Romero obviously let him down on the day. And it was just a gulf in quality. And it just shows that if any game was an example of what we need to do in this transfer window, it was there for all to see. We need a creator massively.
Yeah, I also think allowing players to get free shots off on the edge of the box, and all the players dropping so deep. I don't know whether that was because we were trying to be so pragmatic, and the players, they were force their mind. We have to block a shot. We have to make the last ditch thing. So they dropped so deep, and they just neglected these players on the edge of the box. But we seem to have no plan on the ball to, how to hurt Bayern. The only plan was to go long to Kudus and Richarlison. We had no ability to play through them. Was it a quality thing? Probably that was a big element. But I was listening to Bergval's interview today. Now, something interesting he said. He was asked about Frank's training sessions, and he said, the main focus of his training sessions has been pressing, clean sheets, and mentality. And I was listening to that, and I don't know, something worried me about him saying that, because that's fine. I'm not saying those are bad things to work on, but we've clearly shown a lack of ability to play through teams, and we have a lack of idea on the ball, to be honest.
Yeah.
And when I hear Bergval say that, it's like, okay, now I'm kind of understanding why, because doesn't sound like we're working on it as much. And when you're a top team, that's especially playing teams who are gonna, okay, maybe Bayern is a different case because they're gonna have the majority of the ball, but you need to be able to work on your plan on the ball, and we just don't seem to have an identifiable one at the moment.
Yeah, and it needs to come ASAP. I mean, Thomas Frank has been speaking about it as well. I think he spoke about it at the end of the Newcastle game or the Arsenal game, I can't remember, but he was saying, look, I'm very happy with the way we're playing in terms from a defensive standpoint and the structure, but we're clearly missing the attacking patterns of play. But he says that will come. So
I hope so.
He has only been at the club for a month or 2 months, or however long it's been. I haven't played a competitive game yet. So look, when Dyer was here, he was speaking about Ange's training sessions, and he was saying, we don't even work on tactics. So who knows?
Look, I doubt. What's it called? I don't think Bergval's not telling the truth. I just think that's something that's not clearly right now a priority. Maybe he's looked at where we were lacking last season. He wants to work on these things first, and that's fair enough. I'm just saying that is what Bergval's saying, and I'm looking at the pitch, and I don't see too many attacking patterns, and
there aren't any,
and that's a concern.
Yeah, it is a massive concern. Not going to lie, but we need bloody players in so soon, man. We're sitting here the 8th of bloody August. Only Kudus and Palhinha through the door. Levy and Tottenham and Enoch and everyone involved, Lange and Vinay and everyone need to get their fingers out their arses and start making some signings for Tottenham Hotspur. We can't go into that PSG game without a creator. We can't go into that Burnley game without a creator. We need someone ASAP. Get your fingers out your bloody arses.
We ain't signing anyone for PSG, I guarantee you that. We ain't signing anyone for PSG. I know Tottenham, and Tottenham, they don't like to rush signings for certain games. They're going to make a signing for the long term. They're not going to just sign someone to get him in time for a game.
So basically, we're not signing anyone until the last week of the window.
Probably.
That's pretty much what's going to happen.
Yeah.
So, is what it is. That's our player ratings for the 4-0 drubbing against Bayern Munich.